Welcome back to Shadow Moses. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the HUXWRX Flow 556K. Now, the biggest supporter of the channel right now is Texan Gun Ops. You can find him over on YouTube at Texan Gun Ops. We'll have him in a pinned comment below, and we'll have his channel linked and various other places that you will be able to find. Now, he is responsible for bringing all of this gear out here. He brought the rifles, he brought ammunition, he brought the suppressor, literally brought everything for us to do this video with. Today we have a very interesting topic, very interesting product that we want to talk to you about, and that is going to be the HUXWRX Flow 556K. Now, this is a HUXWRX suppressor. It's the world's first fully DMLS 3D printed suppressor. We've been shooting a little bit of experience with it. It uses a proprietary lockup, right?
It does, yeah. They're all left-handed thread, just to kind of help with keeping it tight under fire so it doesn't, loosen up and you get baffle strikes.
So that's one thing that I definitely noticed on here. Now it is a left-handed thread, so when you tighten it on, it's going to be lefty tighty, righty loosey. Now, when I noticed that when it did get hot, he did have a little bit of difficulty taking the can off of the rifle. I mean, when you get it on there, it is on there.
It's very interesting with that helix design internally. It really keeps the can on there tight under fire so you don't get baffle strikes and you don't have to worry about losing your can downrange.
So this is a flow-through can. One of the unique things about this can, being that it is flow-through, is that you don't have to switch out your springs, you don't have to change your buffer or any of that stuff to get a reliable or repeatable ejection pattern. All the gases are coming out the front of the suppressor here, so you don't get any gas blowback. One thing I really noticed when I was shooting the gun, it was very, very pleasant. There was very minimal gas blowback, and I'm saying even less than on unsuppressed weapons. Now, I don't know if that's just because the way he's got his gun built specifically, but I noticed that this gun deletes recoil. How many rounds would you say you've had on this can so far?
Oh gosh, at least 500. Nothing super crazy. A lot of my stuff, a lot of my shooting isn't really tactical anymore. I think you and I put most of my rounds through it.
Because we put about, what, 300 or 400 rounds on it?
Yeah, well, if that's the case, then maybe closer to 700 or 800. I've had at least the same amount of rounds that we've been through just by myself.
So there's something I have to tell you before I forget, is how quiet this thing is to be as short as it is. Now, I think it's only 5.9 inches, right?
It's very short, and it's from the shooter's ear, it's extremely quiet, just to clarify.
This helical flow-through design here, it really gets that audio, I would say, of the gas expansion out in front of the shooter. So you're not hearing it in your ear like you would say on an unsuppressed rifle. And I thought that was really cool. The signature reduction was really cool. Now, we shot on a 16-inch. We also shot it on an 11.5. Now, on the 16, there was no muzzle flash whatsoever. Absolutely zero muzzle flash. Now, when we moved over to the 11.5, that's a little bit of a different story. Now, we did get some muzzle flash, but it wasn't all the time. It would just happen every now and then. Maybe it was every 5 or 6 rounds. You'd get a small little flash just from the unburnt powder in that short barrel, which is pretty typical for shorter length rifles. Overall, it did a very good job of reducing the signature. It really did. So like I said, there was no flash at all on the 16, very minimal flash on the 11.5. So like we said, we noticed difference between barrel lengths. So now this is made from 17.4 stainless steel, and it is DMLS 3D printed. We'll let Hoffman Tactical explain to you what exactly DMLS 3D printing is.
DMLS, or direct metal laser sintering, is one of several metal 3D printing methods. It does share a common factor with most other 3D printing in that the parts are built up in layers, so it stacks up two-dimensional layers on top of each other until the entire part is constructed. That is how the majority of 3D printing works, including FDM 3D printing, which most of us are familiar with, that uses plastic filament. The feedstock for DMLS printing is not filament, it is actually a metal powder. It could be a variety of materials from stainless steels to titanium to aluminum and other alloys. And that material is a very fine powder, and the way the printer fuses those layers together is it starts off with a printer bed, it lays down a layer of powder on top of that bed that's very thin, it's the layer thickness, and then a laser sinters that entire layer together using a pattern of the laser beam to kind of melt it into one solid piece of metal. And then it lays down another layer on top of that and it sinters it again using the laser. It's a effective method for making pretty complicated metal parts. The print chamber is filled with an inert gas to prevent the metal from burning. And once the complete metal part is done, it is pulled out of the powder. The powder has to be separated from the part because the entire part is built up in a powder bed. So you're filling the entire bed with metal powder. Your part may be this big sitting in the middle. The rest of the powder is unsintered. So when the part is complete, you remove it from that powder and you then have a completed component. The advantage of DMLS over more traditional methods is that you can make really complicated geometry for relatively low cost compared to having to do a weld up structure or bolt it together or very expensive subtractive manufacturing using machining and other techniques. The one limitation you have to keep in mind when designing parts for DMLS is that the powder has to be removed somehow. So your part has to have passages and systems inside, areas where your powder can drain out and it can't be trapped inside. There are other limitations, but that's one of the interesting ones to think about. There's your little summary of DMLS 3D printing.
All right, so what's really cool about this can is it can shoot multiple calibers. It can shoot 17 HMR, it can shoot 5.7 platforms, 5.56, it can shoot 2.23.
More on the cleaning aspect of cleaning cans. With something like this that you can't fully disassemble and remove the baffles to clean individually, your best bet is to drop it in an ultrasonic cleaner.
Yep.
Run it for about 10 minutes with some cleaning solution and you should be good to go once it dries out. If you don't have one, find a buddy, find a gun store that's got an ultrasonic cleaner and have them drop it in for you.
Now, something I really want to talk about is the experience that I've had with it. Now, I've only got maybe 300 or 400 rounds, maybe not even that many. But like I said earlier on in the beginning of the video, this gun is, this can is very much a hearing safe can. I was shooting with my Ear Pro on and it kind of sounded loud in the Ear Pro. Once I took off the Ear Pro, I was so surprised that this little tiny can that only adds 4.9 inches to your gun, it is a K suppressor now. K is usually for a shortened suppressor. So this is the 5.56K. I was surprised at just how quiet this thing was. Now I have shot 5.56 suppressors that are longer than this that are much louder than this, especially at the shooter's perspective. So
which ones? Was it dead air?
I think it was a dead air, yeah. It was a dead air on a Mark 18.
Yeah.
And you know which one it was.
Yeah, I do know which one you're talking about, yeah.
Anyway, so this thing is very impressive.
So first things first, I love using suppressors for hunting. That's kind of what this intended purpose of this rifle is. Yeah, it's got some spray paint on it. I used to kind of be on a tactical fad when I first got into the gun industry. But after that, I've realized really the connections between hunting and the tactical world. And so that's what my intended purpose is for this. So I'm not, running full auto or have a significantly high round count on this thing. Just to talk about the build, I got a lot of Magpul products. I mean, they're pretty much standard for anybody's AR builds. Magpul sights, grips, stock. Some of these heat shields here, which with shooting this can, it's kind of a necessity to have some kind of a heat guard just because of how hot the can gets and how hot the barrel will get. But other than that, most of everything else is like mil-spec. So I've got like a mil-spec 16-inch mid-length barrel. I got mil-spec buffer tube system. And then I've just got like a BCM bolt carrier group and a lot of Aero Precision. Got a Pro Tac on there, Strike Eagle. This needs to come off. I'm not the biggest fan of Vortex and their glass. I know a lot of people out there swear by them. Unless you're buying a razor, I don't think you should buy Vortex products.
It works though.
Yeah, it works fine. That's just my personal opinion. I think there's better stuff out there for a similar price range. But other than that, that's my build. And it's it runs.
It does run.
It runs and chews through anything you feed it. So
in my opinion, after picking up and shooting it, I could tell you definitely had experience with building rifles before, and I could definitely tell this was a purpose-driven built rifle, and that you had very well balanced everything out, and you didn't go overboard on things that you didn't need.
Exactly.
This rifle has exactly what you do need, whether it be hunting or whether it be a fighting rifle, and I think it's a very smart choice. Maybe he doesn't like the LPVO all that much. I tried it out. I don't have a lot of experience with it, but it's pretty cool. It's got an illuminated reticle, so it's not too bad. So this tripod is absolutely amazing. We took it out to 200 meters and we were just smashing that steel with it. So I really like the M-Bus Pros that you have on here, the Radian Raptor. Like I was saying, it's a very purpose-built rifle.
Yeah, that's.
I think you did a great job.
If this Vortex doesn't really hold up, you can actually QD this thing off.
Which QD mount is that?
I think it's a Burris. It's a Burris Pepper or PPR. It's nothing special. But then you can.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Pepper mount.
Flip up your iron sights just like that.
Now, will that retain 0?
Yeah, it does retain 0.
Do you have it marked where you have your?
I don't. No. I can kind of tell by how the paint's worn off where I need to put it. Right. So it goes right there. Oh, I need to open these puppies back up.
Now, what barrel are you running in this rifle?
That is an Aero Precision barrel. I ended up getting into Aero back in 2017, back when their QC was a little bit better than it is now. I know a lot of people are kind of hating on Aero Precision.
Yeah, I've heard some things.
Yeah, but I
love Aero though.
Yeah, I'd say it's a step above Palmetto State and like a step below BCM. I'm happy with it. I get about 1.25 inches at 100 yards with like good ammo, and yeah, real happy with it.
That's pretty good accuracy too.
Yeah, so, absolutely, especially for a gas gun. Yeah,
that's really good. And is that with the can on?
Yes, that's with the can on and with the can off. Right. So it doesn't really change your point impact. Yeah. I know a lot of other suppressors will, but this one, it hasn't seemed to been too significant of a change in 0. Back what we were saying with the HUXWRX proprietary muzzle devices, I've just got a flash hider. Right now they're pretty hard to find. I've looked pretty much everywhere, so they're out of stock pretty much on any website right now. But once they come back in stock, I'll probably buy a couple more.
I think that's about going to cover everything on this rifle. We really wanted to bring the suppressor out and show it to you guys. Now I think it's been out for about a year. Now I have noticed there are several videos on the internet, but one thing I've noticed about these videos on the internet is they don't exactly represent the sound and the way it sounds to the shooter's ear very well. So we've got some good audio that we've recorded, and I think that this audio will represent what the rifle actually sounds like. All right, so for this part of the video, we're going to be doing a test with some 77 grain OTMs from AAC. We're just going to see if that changes the report on the suppressor for the HUXWRX 556K. I've been listening to some of the footage that we've been working on, and it actually sounds really good and it's very accurate. So that's one thing that you will notice that's different about this video, is we do have realistic audio. So thank you so much for watching today's video. The best way you can support this channel is by liking and subscribing. We have a Patreon. Patreon members will get access to new videos and things that I don't want people to see, like bad stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. This is Miles from Texan Gun Ops. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel. He's going to be putting out some really interesting content here in the future. Some stuff that I know about that I can't yet tell you guys about, but keep an eye on him. Go over, subscribe to his channel. He is a big supporter to us, and so far has been the biggest supporter that we've had. So thank you so much for watching the video, and we will see you in the next one.
Have a good one, guys.